Alright, give me everything you got. Super pursuit mode.
It's the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. I think it's episode 117. I'm Michael Ball, aka Coclard. Subscriber 100,000 subscribers with no play button, but we're not going to go on about that. I'm joined once a week again by my esteemed co-host all the way from London, coughing his guts out. It is Martin Fowler, by the gods of science fiction. Hello, Martin. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. You sound like you're dying. He's having a straw. He's having a drink of something. Is
My
that
mouth's
whiskey?
really dry. I've got back in my neck.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
So carry on with the introduction. Ignore me dying. So it's
I think I just about covered it. Basically, it's by the gods of science fiction. A man from London, UK, who knows. I've always said this before, but a man who knows about as much on science fiction as Mr. Kipling knows about cakes. Hello, Martin.
oh, fucking marvellous.
Is that not a good? Is that not a positive kind of observation of your
What,
scientific?
Mr. Kipling?
Yes. He knows cakes and you know sci-fi, but I'm not sort of like saying you're Mr. Kipling.
You never saw him, did you, in the adverts? He was just like a granddad.
It was
wasn't he?
like,
You went round his house and he made cakes. Mm-hmm.
Unless I call you the granddad on the Words Originals adverts, who like, I was 12 years old and I had a Words Original with my granddad. Terrible.
Did you ever have a granddad like that? I mean,
No,
I
who
never
did? No.
I mean, the perfect granddad.
My granddad was a miserable old tosser. He was so tight, he was so tight, he only breathed in. He was horrible. He didn't give me anything. I still remember when I wanted to watch the Smurfs.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch the Smurfs when it was on a Sunday afternoon when I was about 6, and it was on ITV. And on the other side was the golf. And he said, "I'll let you watch it in a minute. I'll let you watch it in a minute." And he didn't turn over. And we visited. And don't forget, I was a young kid, and I didn't see my Smurfs. And he was watching the bloody golf. I never forgave him for that.
Yeah, no, we used to have him over for odd weekend and all day dominate front room watching World of fucking Sport.
Oh, bollocks to that. Right, you know me in sport.
All day long. Oh, fucking turning it over.
Oh, piss off.
BBC Grandstand and World
Oh,
of
I know.
Sport,
Dickie Davis and all this crap. Do you remember the results at the end? 4:45. Coventry
The
City,
Bulls.
0. Portsmouth, 0. Liverpool, 1. Birmingham, 2. And this would go on for about half an hour. All I was waiting for was to see Romana and all these people on Doctor Who afterwards and all that sort of stuff. But, it was terrible. It was Dickie Davis and that. And there used to be these people like typists in the background, like typing. Typing. What the hell are they typing?
I don't know, were they actors?
That's all bollocks. What are they typing? What are they typing? Are they actually typing in Liverpool FC 1?
They used to do it on news though, didn't they? Years ago. You used to get like
but news is yeah, but to me, news is something which is I still don't know why they did it.
Well, that's a news office, isn't
bloody
it? But
sport. Jesus, I mean,
I don't know.
If you're a sports fan, then no. This podcast might not be for you because we're not sports fans, particularly me. I don't think you're not one either, are you, Martin?
But I will congratulate our fellow sisters for winning the cup this week. The Lionesses.
Oh, yeah, very. Yeah,
It's a bit. Well, I didn't watch it. All right, I didn't watch, but I did support.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, I didn't watch any of it. I just saw something to do with footballers.
I didn't even know they'd won. I didn't even know it happened.
I didn't know this. I didn't know they started it. I saw this. I thought, oh, bollocks to this, and I just turned over. But that's just, like I said. I mean, I never even heard of the women's version. So, is there a male version this year, or is it said the women are taking over?
I thought, and we got the World Cup coming this year.
Oh God, we haven't, have we?
I think that's coming, yes, this year. But they're putting it on later in Qatar.
Oh God!
Because of the heat.
Okay, is it not doing it?
So we've got that. That's on its way, I think.
Oh God!
A month of it.
Well, okay. Netflix and my movie collection will be on standby to get me through it because I want.
Yeah, Netflix back at that point. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, the only saviour. So let's go into a few things here because unfortunately we've had a bit of bad news with regard to one or two actors who have passed since last week. Now I think that David Warner, we mentioned him last week, but since then we've had two big people in the world of science fiction and beyond who have passed away. First of all, we've had Bernard Cribbins, who of course featured in lots of shows in the 80s and 90s. Before that, in some of the Doctor Who's, he's passed away, and it's interesting because I saw a message from David Warner, not David Warner, Dave Tennant, sorry, who said that he was going to go to a sci-fi get-together, and he's cancelled it because he's got to do more filming. So I think they might be filming additional scenes for the special because Bernard Cribbins was in it, and it's really sad that they might have to reshoot some scenes because obviously the actress died. So I don't know how. I still hope that Bernard appears in Doctor Who, and I would imagine that he probably would, but they're obviously going to have to do some sort of way of adjusting for the fact that he's no longer there. So we suggested that he passed away beyond the point where his filming was done. I don't know, but that was a real big shock. The other big shock, of course, is Nichelle Nichols, Uhura from...
I was in tears when I saw that. I was gutted.
I was very upset about that. It had quite a big media buzz from it. It was on the BBC website. It was on a lot of websites and stuff. So
she did so much. She contributed. So that was a woman that gave the best.
Yeah, and she was just a lovely person, and she really did so much for
civil rights in America,
and African American community,
and into the space program.
Yeah, and she was probably the first, one of the most iconic original series people who did stand for, at that time, more of the minority aspect and more equality, which she did. And I always remember the story where she was going to be quitting after season 2, and then she bumped into Martin Luther King, who said to her that basically, you know, you are such a beacon for African Americans in the US and how you represent equality, and she stayed on, and of course then she also appeared in the six original series movies. And
the other story, Leonard Nimoy went down to see Gene Roddenberry and said we all get paid the same.
I heard about, I've forgotten about that until you said that he was the one that was fighting for equal pay, wasn't he?
Yep.
Absolutely.
He did that.
A wonderful lady. Everybody, she's one of those people, a bit like Bernard Cribbins, who basically everyone who encountered both of them said how wonderful they both were. They both were, and so was Bernard Cribbins. They're both icons. And
have you heard her singing? She's absolutely fantastic performer.
I think she
saw some video footage years ago. I've had one of her albums. Her voice was.
I remember her. The first time I encountered her singing was in the episode Charlie X. And she was saying that Charlie is our darling, and of course Charlie shuts her, closes, makes her stop singing and stuff. But even those early scenes, she could tell she's a wonderful singer. So very, very sad to hear. There's only George Takei, Walter Koenig, and William Shatner left now. And I suppose, obviously, you know, you've got to expect this, but it was a bit of a shock, and it's a real sad thing to learn about. So we just want to say from the Solo and Sci-Fi podcast that commiserations to her legacy, and she will be remembered for many a moon to come. So you know, I also I saw the actress who plays the new Uhura in Strange New Worlds. I think she posted a nice message as well. I don't know whether Zoe something, the one from the Kelvin. I don't know whether she posted.
Oh, she's already posted. She said.
I would have thought she would have done. Yeah, I would have thought so. And even JJ Abrahams and everybody else. So, yeah, awful. Any other? I mean, do you want to do news now, or should we go into the focus of the week? I don't mind either way. We haven't got a ton of news this week, but what do you want to do? I mean, we did see the Star Wars, the Andor final trailer. Let's talk about that, shall we? Before we go into it, what do you think of the trailer? I think I gave you a link to it the other day.
Yeah, I watched it. I did read the other article you sent, but I don't know if we should talk about that.
What was that one about? Can you vaguely say, or
The
can we not
Doctor
even...
Who one.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just say, oh, shit.
Right. No, I did see the Andor trailer.
Let's go on about that. Okay.
I was really impressed. That's it. Boss said. I loved the cinematography and
yeah, it looks very
it's opening up a bigger universe. I'm glad to be off the desert planets now.
Yeah,
I'm really,
Tatooine. Apparently, they didn't use the volume in this because obviously the most modern shows have all used the volume, which I actually think is really good. But I think that some scenes in both Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett did look a bit almost fan filmy. Not many. Most of it was good. But there were one or two scenes where it did look a bit subpar from a cinematic experience. You
mean this?
Go on.
The scene with the Star Destroyer looked a bit cheesy, didn't it?
Yeah.
At the beginning, a lot of people commented on
I didn't mind that. I didn't think it looked too bad.
A lot of people thought it looked a bit cheesy.
But also don't forget that it's not the final version. It's still got another month and a half to.
Yeah, they put it back 3 weeks to put it back.
I think it's because it's clashing with some of the Marvel stuff and the She-Hulk and this sort of stuff. So they just feel that it would clash. So they want it to. But they're releasing 3 episodes in one day, and it'll be on them for another 9 weeks or something. So it will finish in mid to late November. So that's going to be a long time. But from what I've seen of it, it looks really, really good. Do
you think 13 episodes is too long?
Well, it's 12 episodes. Do I think 12?
Well,
I don't know until I've seen it. I prefer seasons to be longer, and Boba Fett and Mandalorian to me were a bit short. I can't really say until if the episodes are full of, interesting storylines and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's too long, or how do you feel? There might be very short episodes, though.
And I think what it is, I mean, they're going to have to keep it a lot in there to keep you focused on 12 episodes. I think
it's possible. It's possible that it could be.
But I've got a feeling by episode 6 you might start dropping out because it's, because every other series we've had has been, 5, 8 episodes?
Yeah.
6 episodes. It sort of works, hasn't it, really? This is going for quite a long time, this. But
yeah,
especially on a character that's just.
Well, it's going to be very political. It's not going to be like Boba Fett. It's not going to be about Jedi and revenge. It's going to be a political aspect of the beginning of the rebellion in regard to being in the Empire. Now, personally, I feel it could be very interesting, but I do take on board the fact that it could have a lot of meh episodes, it's sort of like filler episodes. But I don't know. From what I've seen, it looks very good, but it's too early to tell. It's 12 episodes is long, but they could be very short episodes. They could be 20 minutes long each. It could be lots of short episodes rather than, like the Orville. I mean, the last episode of the Orville had 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, they both did.
Yeah, really
I
long.
watched them both. Sci-Fi cut up Saturday night. I watched both.
Now I saw your reviews of both episodes, and I like both. But my God, that last episode, episode 9. Oh my God! I mean, that was a bit epic, wasn't it? I mean, for a TV series, I mean, those special effects, those space battles. I mean, that was. You don't get much better than that, really. I mean, even Star Wars, it's not done as big as that.
I mean, they put them on. Yet again, they could have shot themselves in foot as well, couldn't they?
Yeah, but they didn't. They did not.
No, because they did wrap up a lot of major storylines.
It felt more like a season finale or even a series finale.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
It's like we've got one more, but somebody was saying
next week's episode won't be. This week it won't be like that. That'll be like a coming together, sort of more emotional episode.
I think next week's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be, quite frankly. Because
I think it's going to be more about the death of her and they're all taking a step back. It might just finish where they just go back into space and that's it. I'm hoping we get a fourth season because I think they've set up the baddies for the next season. I think we'll see.
Yeah, the ones in the nebula. I may be saying about the ones in the nebula. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know whether the next episode is going to be half as big as the last episode. Last week's felt like the season finale.
But I think that works well doing it like that. I think you get that human episode where it's setting things up for a possible season 4. I think we're going to get a season 4. If it's going to Disney,
it's going Disney Plus. Now, I would have thought that they'd be looking at this and say, "Hang on, this is a bit Flash. This is a bit sort of like, you know," and it will be Disney's because they've got the Star Wars franchise. They haven't got the Star Trek franchise, and the Orville, in many ways, is kind of like the next best thing to a currently Star Trek franchise. It's very, it's lost a lot of the humor. It's more of a contemporary. It's more of a basic science fiction. It's weird. I've said this before that the first season it was more like Galaxy Quest, especially the early episodes. It soon dropped that. Then it was more of a mix of comedy and science fiction in season 2. And season 3 has refined it even more so that the comedy element has dropped even more. So there is some comedy, but it's really on the back burner now. And I mean, personally, I think for me, I think the humour was balanced better in season 2. But I like what they've done in season 3 as well. So season 3 has also been great. And I need to watch the whole thing again to review it properly. But this series is something special. You know, we've said this many times. So how it continues, I don't know. But Disney Plus, I think they're going to start streaming it about a week after it finishes on Hulu. And so it's possible it could get big because it's on Disney. And Disney's got the money.
I think Disney are looking at this as the next big franchise.
But it's very positive that they're actually saying, no, we want to have you on there. That's a big thing.
Well, of course it is. And they've got the money to back it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it could work out.
Because Orville just doesn't start at Orville. There's a whole universe to open up here.
Yeah, exactly.
You could do another series about another
it could be a proper whole franchise with spin-offs and prequels and sequels and even movies. It could go anywhere. But the last episode was more like a movie than a TV show. It was just absolutely
well, they both were. Episode 8 were good.
And they
are Bortus when he stuck that thing in that guy's face.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
He said, "I don't care about my set. That's my daughter," and he just got it. Because that guy just slapped her across the face. I was shocked at that. Poor girl.
I know.
And he just slapped her.
He just did that. I know.
And I thought,
like,
what are you doing?
Oh my God, what are you doing? Yeah, I thought that as well. It was a shock factor. That was a bit of a shock. But it was a really good series. And so let's see how it finishes off. Let's see if it rounds off with a complete success. It was worth the wait. I wish it hadn't been quite such a long wait, but I think that because it was extended, it meant that some of the special effects from last week, they needed more time to get all those shots of all those shuttles and those fighters and the space battles, and you don't normally get that. I've never seen so many special effects in one episode of a TV series like that. I don't think ever. I can't think of another. Can you ever think of something with regard to those number of special effects and space shots that you've ever seen so much in one TV episode ever? Never. Not in Star Trek, or not in Star Trek.
Not Star Wars, no.
So
it was like watching a movie.
It was like
the scale of it and the battles.
It was a movie, which was incredible. So yeah, that was fantastic. So that's pretty much it for that. We're going to go into our focus of the week in a minute. So anything else that you want to talk about news-wise before we go into our topic?
No, I think that's it really. There's just Marvel stuff coming up in next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's Marvel stuff. It's a bit quiet. The Doctor Who thing, like I said,
October.
Yeah, and then we've got this. Like I said, we're hearing some news about this new Doctor Who era, which looks. I said it before. I'm not going to go into it, but it looks bloody awful. So I cannot wait to get there. We'll give an open-minded opinion of the new series when it comes on, but it does look. It looks awful. It looks terrible. Anyway, there we go. So let's go to our focus of the week. and it's a classic from the 1980s. So here we go.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi
focus of the week.
Right, so this is a TV series from the 80s. It was very iconic at the time. It was very big on mainstream, more than most science fiction. It was it had a science fiction element, but it was more of a genuine sort of mainstream show. It featured the one and only David Hasselhoff, and that, of course, was Knight Rider, which ran from 1982 to 1986. Created by Glenn A. Larson. So, Martin, Knight Rider, what did you think of Knight Rider?
Right, I had a box set of it years ago, all of it, you know.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think the pilot episode is superb.
Did you? Because obviously
I love the
Michael
pilot
Long.
episode.
Because he was Michael Long, wasn't he? And then he remind me of it's been many a moon. So somehow
he's Detective Michael Long, who's investigating a high-tech criminal gang that's involved in industrial espionage,
right?
Corporations, and Wilson Knight. He gets shot in the head by some woman he's into. She's part of the gang,
right?
From what I remember, they dump his body, he gets found, helicopter, someone turns up, and they take him, he gets plastic surgery without his permission to do it. You know, we don't question that, do we?
No.
So he gets plastic surgery, and Wilson Knight makes him look like him when he was younger. They give him a new identity as Michael Knight, and obviously as he's recuperating, this guy's a billionaire, this Milton Knight. He looks over his balcony and he sees him going into this big hangar. And one night he sneaks in there and you see these two bright lights and a red light in the middle drive up towards it, because apparently Michael Long had a Trans Am.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, before that, that's why he got, I think so, that's why he ended up getting kicked. And so the car don't speak to him for about 15 minutes. And Milton Knight is like, you know, I've given you all this because I want you to bring criminals down that are above the law.
That's right. And
because obviously something's happened to him, which I assume that's his son. We're going to go into that later. Yeah. You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
And so he's a billionaire. Never really explained. We know there's Knight Industries.
That's
but
right.
then there's an offshoot of it called FLAG, Foundation for Law and Government.
Yeah.
That's very connected to the government itself. It's sort of like a law upon it, so they investigate things.
Yeah.
And then the car starts talking to him and he freaks out and then we get into it.
They start on their adventures,
I
do remember sort of like standalone episodes, but I mean, all I remember about it was obviously David Hasselhoff talking to his watch, which I always thought was really cool because, of course, you know, you've got Apple Watches now, and like with my watch, if I've got this all set up. Let's press play. Let's see if we can hear it. I don't know if you heard that, but that was Kit talking on my watch. Really sad, I know. But it was what I liked about it was that basically it had a science fiction concept of a very, very high-tech vehicle, but it also it felt more like a mainstream show like the A-Team or something. It had this kind of interesting mix, but technically it was a science fiction show, but it was sort of half a science fiction show because, like I said, if it wasn't for the car, it would just be a normal show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it'd be like the Rockford Files.
Yes, rock the
Yeah,
past.
do
Yeah,
you know, he had the flash
that's a
car,
good
didn't he? And,
analogy. Yeah, exactly.
you know, but Knight Rider is based on I remember Glenn Larson said in an interview, it's based on a western. It's
I didn't
the
know
cowboy
that.
and
I
his
didn't
horse.
really get that link between.
Yeah, it's like a cow. You know, when you get the horse that understands you and it helps out. You know, it's one of them cheesy westerns.
Like Mr. Ed or something.
Yeah. You know, so that's because he's like, you know, it's him and the car and go out investigating, and the car can do some, well, today actually, like hack into other computers and take over stuff and turbo boosting. It should. I mean, to be honest, it should have had some fucking machine guns, really, shouldn't it? But that was the difference of it. It didn't have all that, did it?
But in the 4th season, they did some upgrades, so it could become a convertible, and it could also do super pursuit mode, I think it was, and all these bits.
Yeah, that came in. That's the
last season. That was near the
end. That's when they were desperate for viewers because people were switching off by that time.
So, I mean, obviously you seem to know more about it than I did. So, was it flagging in the ratings then as it went along?
I think the later seasons were. I think the first season really good.
Right.
The concept was unique. I mean, the car. I mean, you're watching it. I mean, even if I watch it, the car's got a personality.
Yeah, it's an artificial intelligence.
You know, it's talking to it and all that. But obviously, we're going to get into all the spin-offs around this series.
I have not seen
because you're not going to believe where all this went. It went far beyond that. But I mean, the thing is, sorry, no.
No, I was going to say, I mean, obviously, it went a long way, is what you're trying to say, and it did create spin-offs and all sorts of tangents and stuff like that. But I mean, did you like all the actors and characters involved? You obviously had Devon, you had Michael.
No, Devon's been around for years. He was in Armand Flint, and he's been around since '60s. Devon. He was in loads of war movies.
He was a very stereotypical British man, though. Wasn't he?
He always played the British officer and all this in the war.
Bit stereotypical, I thought. I liked his character though.
They had two women. They were
sisters,
Bonnie,
didn't they? Yeah, Bonnie.
Yeah, and then she left. They got.
But then she came back though, didn't she?
Yeah, they got rid of the other one and she came back.
So why did they get rid of the other one?
I don't know. She just disappeared. And then they tried sexing it up. And then in season 4, we got RC, the cheesy one.
No, the gadget guy. The guy.
That's when it was bad. Because basically, I mean, let's go back to its origin. I think it was first season. I don't know when Car came out, when I had first or second season.
I think it was the second season, I'm not sure.
Car, super baddie in it. He was the first.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we moved into. We did sort of go into sort of science fiction sort of stuff, you know. And there were Car. I think Car came back for about 3 episodes.
Car came back. I know that Car came back. He was like buried under some sand or something.
Yeah,
and then they dug it up, and then they painted the bottom a bit white or grey or something to differentiate.
Well, it's silver. I thought
silver.
It was
silver. White.
Yeah.
Silver. I can't. It was a different colour. It wasn't black at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then this guy sort of took him, and then of course Car was kind of like trying to take control of the situation and
got rid of him.
But I mean, the episode that you wanted to talk about or mention to me was Goliath.
Well, we did get to the arch nemesis. Where
that was a big one, wasn't it?
Now I'm gonna fully watch this tonight. I am gonna watch it, but this is to me. I know everybody Goliath is the giant truck.
Yes.
That is in South America, a big truck drives through wall. Takes him off, and then they get the secret formula that makes Kit
the body shell. The body shell, yeah, exactly.
The body shell, and they spray Goliath with it, and then then for some reason the son of Milton Knight decides to make himself look like Michael Knight.
Why?
But he's got a goatee.
He's got a goatee to make him
look evil. Yeah. And
exactly.
And he wears the white John Travolta suit, and I never quite got that. When he catches Michael Knight, he says, "I made myself look like you, so you will have to suffer." And it's like,
Okay.
man, are you obsessed with me? Is this something you're not telling me?
Stalker, a bit of a weirdo or something.
Yeah, you know, and then he's dressed in leather. He dresses all in one thing, doesn't he? You know, leather and cane, and he's in Goliath.
Yeah.
And there's obviously Kit gets its ass kicked, doesn't it? It just don't stand a chance. And then obviously the rebuild Kit and it can do more amazing things like fucking hyper boost or whatever, you know. And they take it on. They destroy Goliath, and then Goliath returns.
Comes back,
you know.
yeah.
They bring it because they're getting desperate now. But why would the villain? I think the first two seasons are really good.
Oh, so do you think it lost the plot?
Got bad. Got bad.
That's what I was wondering. That was my next question. Whether you think that the actual quality of the show did decline as it went along?
It did decline. It did. Now I know there's dedicated Knight Rider fans out there. That probably what accept this.
Yeah.
But I watched it as everybody else did, and when it came out, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I liked the casting, all of it, and I'm going to say this, I loved Super Pursuit Mode.
I did. When I first saw that,
when all the wings came,
exactly.
Loved it.
It was such a big thing. When I first saw it, I still remember that as a kid seeing that. Like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I think that was actually. Oh, I think that might have been relevant because it was partly because of the Transformers thing. I think Transformers might have had a factor.
Definitely.
And although they couldn't make the Kit into a sort of like a humanoid-shaped robot, they could make bits of him come out and stick out and change partly how it looks in reference to the Transformer franchise, which was going on at that point.
But it's the same formula every week, isn't it? You know,
yeah, it had a limited. I think it had a limited duration of what it could do in its premise, and I don't think that's unreasonable to actually ascertain that. To actually
I agree. I'm not going to knock it. And then somewhere in 22 episodes, you get the big two-part supervillain that'll take out Kit, and they have to rebuild it, and Kit comes back better than ever, and
and then it's back again,
stuff,
and then you get an even bigger baddie, and then it's even more of a threat, and you know, get the episode where Kit's stolen, or Kit loses its memory, or Michael Knight loses his memory, or Michael Knight turns evil. You know, all these sort of specific story ideas are with long-term. Again, I know you mentioned the I word, but Incredible Hulk had a similar thing. You had the episodes, but it had a similar feel. It was made at a similar time.
I watched the wedding clip because of you the other day.
It's classic. It's classic.
I know, but I had to watch it when you mentioned it. I watched it. I'm sorry.
It's good. It's the best Hulk out when he's in bed and he rips up his pajamas. And he sees his wife as like with the Grim Reaper in the coach and everything, and it sort of builds up. It's a hell of a build-up. It's a hell of a build-up. It's really, I know. Hey, this is what I call a wedding night.
There was an episode where Kit could drive on water. I remember that one. There was one episode. It went on water, yeah.
No, I didn't see. I don't think I saw it. I've not seen them all. I don't think I've seen them all.
No, I don't. To be honest, if I had the mega box set, I don't think I could sit through the whole lot of it. I think I'd go for certain episodes, like the pilot. I think the pilot is awesome.
Okay.
I really do, because it's quite sad, is the pilot, when that woman, when she shoots the car and the bullet kills her.
Is that your favourite episode?
I think I'd say the pilot. The pilot really did it for me, and then there is some good episodes in there. I'm not, and you know, but it's like you said, it's limited to what it can do.
And did you think David Hasselhoff was good in his role? Do you think he kind of made the show?
I think he was having a good time doing it, and.
Yeah, I think he did.
You know, and the guy from Sent Elsewhere, the doctor that was Kit's voice.
Yeah.
You know, well, there was this chemistry between him and the guy. He made it work, and I like Devon at the office and Bonnie. It worked. I like the truck. You remember the truck?
Well, he used to mount the going along. He used to go up back. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. And had all like the gadgets inside, didn't it? And stuff like that. So sort of like and it was like a sort of mobile garage kind of thing, wasn't it? Where he sort of like. Yeah, I mean, like I said, so, I mean, tell me, because you've been mentioning other stuff, so after it finished, after 4 seasons, it did come back in different various forms.
Oh yeah.
So tell me a bit about those. What you liked about those? I mean, I assume
Right.
none of it worked. I assume.
Right. A few years later, I was in the video library, and it was in the corner on the bottom shelf. And it cost 50p.
Okay.
And it was called Night 2000.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And it was they were going to get a woman to do it, and that was from Xena.
Is she the one that's in Battlestar? One's in Battlestar.
No. It was Xena's enemy, Callisto.
Oh, okay.
This Hudson Leak name was very nice.
Okay.
But it was set in the year 2000, and Kit had been dismantled, and Michael Knight had been feeling sorry for himself, and all this, and Devon got murdered, and they rebuilt Kit into this weird shaped car.
Right.
It had big wings on the side. It was, and it was terrible. It was meant to be a pilot episode.
You're right.
And it was awful. It just, so what's that? I paid 50p for that, and I wish I'd never bothered.
You wish you had your 50p now, just to say, I saved that money on that day. Yeah, okay.
And then we got, and now, well, this is where it gets interesting. I don't know if you've seen this. If you could get hold of this, I'd be very happy, because I'd like.
What's that? Yeah, what's that?
Team Knight Rider.
Okay. What's David Hasselhoff?
Team Knight Rider. Have you not seen Team Knight?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it. Like I said,
got cancelled after TKR. They were totally science fiction.
Okay. So
totally,
why is it more sci-fi than the traditional?
Flag. The foundation for law and government had evolved, right?
Okay.
And they had a jumbo jet with vertical takeoff that flew around America, right? And there were 5 of them, and they all had talking cars and a talking motorbike, and they had laser guns and all that. And
you make this sound awful. You make this sound laughable.
I quite like Team Knight Rider. You can't get hold of it on DVD. You can't get hold of it. I've been looking for it for years.
Okay, I'll have a look. I'll have a look.
And if you could find it, even the bloody pilot episode, I wanted to get hold of this for years. Okay. And it was on ITV on a Saturday. Okay. And then it just disappeared. It's gone. I don't know how many episodes, I don't know a lot of, because there ain't much about it, but they put the money in. And there were all these cars, they all had different personalities. And the top at Mission Agenda, the one episode, Michael Knight missing in action. Yeah.
So David Hasselhoff, was he in it? David Hasselhoff was actually in
No, it was Team Knight. They were called TKR. They worked for the Foundation Law and Government. They had a big jumbo jet and there were labs on board. They lived on it, and they flew around America. And they were in future, and they went, and they had the cars had laser guns. There were a car that could join with another car and something else, from what I remember.
Okay.
Have you not seen Team Knight? I thought you would.
No, I mean, like I said, I mean, as we've been talking today, you know more about Knight Rider than I did. Which is really good.
I haven't finished yet. There's more.
Oh, sorry. Okay, what happened after Team Knight Rider?
There's more. Now, you must have caught well, it wasn't a remake. It was actually a sequel to the new Knight Rider that came out.
Right. Okay. So I heard about one where what was it?
Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer's played.
Yes.
Val Kilmer is. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was that like? So I heard of it. Again, I've not seen any of these sequels, spin-offs, remakes. Any good?
Well, it was all right. I mean, car had machine guns and it could change shape. It had polymorphic abilities and it had machine guns and laser guns. And
it's like a changeling car or something.
Yeah, it could change it like into a pickup truck or something.
It sounds corny as hell. It sounds like shite.
Well, no, it was an actual sequel to Knight Rider.
Yeah, but how come none of these series?
Because Michael Knight said that Michael Knight said he's another Knight or something. I don't know. He's an ex-special forces guy. Something's happened. He's at a funeral, and Michael Knight happens to be there, and he gets recruited into this flag thing with this new project of this car, and he ends up fighting with it. But I remember I only caught a few episodes of it, It one of them things. It never. If it were on, you'd watch it, but you wouldn't go out and buy it and pursue it. You know?
Just watch it and let it finish, and then that's the end of it. Kind of thing.
And there was a car. There was an evil one that could change into a robot.
It doesn't
I'm
sound
being serious
good.
now because, like Kit, right, the new Kit. I don't know what car. It's this big, massive sports car, shooting down this road, and car that looks like his car. It changes in. It has a robot body, and it wants to bond with Michael. With the new, it needs him to bond with that, and it changes into this like robot, like Transformer.
Okay.
I'm not making it up. It does. Then it got cancelled.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for some reason, none of these other. I mean, it was Team Knight Rider. This one you mentioned. I mean, none of these I saw. So they can't have been very big, at least in the UK. They might have been bigger.
No, but it got scrapped. But they did put a lot of money into the new Knight Rider. It came out about 2005, I think. Too. It was a while ago. Now it come out. It was, but there was a replica series created, which I've seen some of. You might have caught it. A similar, not a talking car, but it was a supercar that could do stuff, and it was financed by a secret government project. It was called Viper.
Heard of it. Another one I've heard of.
I've only seen one at a time. Again, it was something I looked at and just moved on.
Yeah.
But it went for about 4 seasons, did that, and they kept changing cast in it as well.
Well, it sounds like this was a catalyst for these other sort of ideas. I mean, it did remind me of some other shows. There was obviously Airwolf, but it wasn't a smart. It was just a very capable helicopter. It didn't have its own artificial intelligence. I remember Airwolf at the same time as Knight Rider.
There was Street Hawk.
And Street Hawk, that's the one. Street Hawk as well was the
But
other
that
one.
got cancelled after 13 episodes. But a lot of people thought Street Hawk were cooler than Knight Rider.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me wonder whether Knight Rider, maybe it went on a bit too long. Maybe it was literally something which should have just lasted for like 1 season. You know,
I think a couple of TV specials might have worked for it, you know.
Yeah. I was just sort of trying to think about where they could have gone with the format, because of course you had like the evil kits, which was Car. You had the Knight Rider, the Michael Knight kind of guy that looks like him, but it's not him, and he's got a truck which will be also as deadly because it's got the it just makes you wonder whether it's kind of like, well, it was good when it was on, but it really did have a lot of shows we talk about, they have premises where, often we've said if they could have just gone on another 2 or 3 seasons, they could have done this, they could have done that. But I think with this series, I think we both kind of begrudgingly suggesting that it really was a limited format, and it got to the point where
I mean, back in '80s, there was one with a boat, There was one with a boat, Thunder in Paradise.
I still remember Automan.
Hulk Hogan.
Automan was one I remember as well.
Yeah, he had a super boat that could fire laser beams and went and fought crime. And I mean, they've created it and they get involved in stuff, and they're ex-military and running around in this $1 billion boat. No, not explaining how these 2 guys financed it. Yeah. Because it's either some secret organisation or a foundation.
Yes, it's a similar premise.
Government connected.
Always something, and then they have their own sort of edges within an entity, isn't there? Something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they've got this super technology that can go out and solve situations, and the ex-special forces dude, who's driving the car, and he gets all the women at the end of it, and each of them there's a cheesy smile, and he's trying to pull her. They've always got, she's the engineer.
Well, I think they might have a relevance or reference to James Bond, who James Bond was a sort of like spy.
Yeah.
And he used to always have like special high-tech gadgetry to get his way around it. And I think that Knight Rider in some ways would have a similar premise to him. James Bond with his Aston Martin and the Batman. There must be a reference, or like the Batmobile, or like Batman.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's a similar thing where it's kind of like it's very flash technology for fighting crime, and all of these have a parallel.
But it's like, I mean, it is sort of fascinating, these foundations and these organised, and the end. There's always like a story where the hero's been set up and he's got to prove his innocence. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's stuff like that, and it is sort of, how would you say it, very interesting. But
Yeah.
I think with Knight Rider, again, you could go a lot darker with it. And I think the newish one was sort of a bit darker, but it didn't appeal. But the original one, it was family viewing. I mean, my family used to watch it. You know, it
was very big,
o'clock.
very, very big, wasn't it? Kind of thing.
You know,
I mean,
yeah, it was cheesy and we loved it. And, you know, it wasn't like Miami Vice, was it? You know, I'm a big fan of Miami Vice. But
yeah, I know you are.
that were darker, and, you know, Knight Rider, he'd turn up, solve a problem, beat all baddies up, get the woman, and then at end he'd be in office with Devon and
make some sort of like funny comment, and then next week be the same thing
smile,
again.
and then it'd pause where he'd
freeze like that.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then like you know, Police Squad, that TV show. That he made a
Buck
sort
Rogers.
of like.
Buck Rogers used to do it. And he'd be smiling like that, you know, like, oh, stop being a twat, you know. But Knight Rider, it was good. I'm not going to knock it. I don't think I could sit through all 100 episodes of it. You know, I could.
It's a show where if you had an hour free and you just fancied sort of being sort of going into watching something old and slightly cheesy, 80s vibe. I love American 80s shows, as you know.
I do.
We really feel, you know. Then it's definitely a sort of like just chuck it on. There's David, there's Michael Knight, and he's got this, you know, he's got kit, and they're doing a turbo boost, and there's some baddies, and you know, I like that though. I like the fact that you can just sit there and you can have a cup of coffee and just let it wash over you, and then it's done.
Yeah, no. We used to get it on Thursday nights, Knight Rider. You know, like when Airwolf come out, that was a lot darker. You should watch the 2-hour pilot to Airwolf.
Well, yeah,
Airwolf is a whole different level.
Well, I was thinking about the darker side that with David Hasselhoff in Baywatch, but he also did a darker series of that called Baywatch Nights, which was so. It's funny that it
don't get me started on Baywatch. That I reviewed that.
Did you?
Don't forget season 1. That shit. Right. Don't.
I've not seen Baywatch.
No.
I like Baywatch though. I quite like Baywatch.
Right.
So.
And of course we all Baywatch. I mean, she was wonderful when she ran across the screen, Pammy, wasn't she? Everybody bloody watched it. I mean, especially on a
freezing cold January Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And what you got on? You got these women with bikinis in Miami, wherever it is, and it's kind of like, and it's like,
in Britain,
they're running across the beach with those floating things, and
everybody's perfect and good looking. But now this is where it gets fucking interesting, because we should do Baywatch Nights, not season 1. Season 2.
I need to see it first. We'll do that at some point.
It's all on YouTube, season 2.
Oh, okay, all right.
Forget season 1, right? Because when he's in Baywatch, right, he decides that after shagging everything on the beach and being in, right, and fighting crime, he decides to set up a fucking detective agency called Baywatch Nights.
Okay.
And he's still working on beach during days. So when he got all the time,
does he ever need to sleep? Does he ever sleep?
Well, I don't know what he does, right? But he ends up like solving crime with his partner, and then suddenly in season 2, I'm not making this up, they went all X-Files.
Did
season 2? I'm not bullshitting.
Why did they do that? Because that's
the season 2. Fuck all to do with season 1. It starts off, he's on credits walking through, and there's like monsters and demons and vampires.
Oh God!
And he walks up to the screen and he goes, Baywatch Night, right? And then there's this guy from the government that turns up and says, go and investigate that over there. He stops 2 alien invasions. He ends up in an alternative future where pollution's took out and he has to go back in time and stop it. What? He meets a vampire.
This is Baywatch. You're the character of Baywatch.
Baywatch fucking Nights, right? And then that got sunk, right? That was a vanity project with his ego, this was. So it went down the toilet and they made 22 fucking episodes of this shite, right? And then he went crawling back to Baywatch. So, like, he's back in his lifeguard tower, thinking, well,
after he's been fighting aliens and parallel universes and stuff.
And time travelers and interdimensional. And he's
Now he's back on the beach permit again. Yeah, okay.
I am being serious.
No, I'm not disputing.
I want to cover Baywatch Night season 2.
I mean, I'll see if I can get Baywatch Night season 2.
It's on YouTube. You don't need it. It's all on YouTube.
Yeah, all right. Okay, we'll do that. We'll put it on the list. I'll always put it on the list. So let's round up.
I did it under could have been a classic.
I'll tell you what. If I remember, I'll send a link. I'll put it on this clip so people can check that out. Actually, maybe if you can find it, send me MSN me the link.
I will send you an episode of Baywatch Nights.
No, but send the link to your review so we can put that on this episode. Then people can look at the Baywatch Nights review on your could have been a classic if you want.
How do I do that?
Well, just find your original YouTube clip of Baywatch Nights and then send me the link to that episode.
Okay, I can do that.
And then I can put that on the show notes on here so that people, if they're watching it on my channel, they can see your review.
Yeah.
How's that sound? Is that all right?
How can we go from a man with a talking car to this?
It's the Solo on Sci-Fi podcast.
You know, but it did honestly. So Baywatch now comes under the term science fiction. It does.
But that's what I'm saying. If it's Baywatch, I mean,
boobs and science fiction.
My old podcast mate, he used to say that crazy things can happen. Just come along for the ride, and I think we should adapt that. And I think we should adapt that for the Solo on Sci-Fi podcast because sometimes we talk about certain things, and we end up in the most weird tangents of stuff, and that's what makes it interesting. So I suppose to wrap up then, so would you want to rate it out of 10? What would you give it out of 10 for the series in general?
Because I've got an affection for it, I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay, I'll give it a 7 as well. I think I'll give it a 7. 7 out of 10. Yeah, I agree about that. It's not a classic, but it's definitely better than the average. And I think it's one of those shows that has a special place in our hearts. And I think that we'll always fondly remember that. And I do like David Hasselhoff. I think he's a good actor. He's fun. He's a bit, he is what he is, but he's a nice guy. And
he makes fun of himself through it as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Don't treat the
series
series too seriously. It's just a bit of fun, and if you have that mindset, you're in for a good time. Okay, Martin, I think we're just about done. So next week we're going to be reviewing The Day the Earth Stood Still. I've done the graphic for it. That's which will be a classic. Anything else before we wrap up for today?
No, I think that's it. I think we're covered now.
Nice one. All right, well, thank you very much, Martin. It's been another good one. So we'll be back next week. And until then, thank you, everybody, and live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you, Martin. That was good. What are you laughing at? Why are you laughing?
No, because you froze yourself at the end of an episode.
Do you know what? I'm going to keep that bit, I think. I might keep that.